What is up, guys? Delboy here. Just a quick video, actually something a little bit different. It is actually a recommendation to a video, a podcast. Teddy Atlas was on the Joe Rogan Experience last night. The podcast is about 3 hours long. I watched it live and I listened to it all. I don't think I've ever watched or listened to a 3 hour podcast from start to finish without taking a break. And, it was really entertaining, really good listening, and talked about various topics. Obviously, boxing being one, talking about old school fighters like Benny Leonard, Joe Louis. He also touched on Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez too, the rematch. He shared his thoughts on that. Also talked about Mike Tyson. That segment was fascinating. While I don't always agree with Teddy Atlas, I think sometimes he can be a little bit vindictive and a little bit bitter. Some of the things he says they are still interesting to listen to, and maybe there is, you've got to take them with a grain of salt in regards to the Tyson comments, but it's not like he's the only person to say things like that about Mike Tyson. And that section I found very fascinating, I've got to be honest, especially as a younger fan. I wasn't around when Tyson Mania was a thing. I've just kind of gone back and watched some of his fights retrospectively. And I'll be honest, the heart question comes up quite a lot about Tyson, but I think it's a little bit unfair. When he was all about boxing, when he was serious about the sport, it's not like he didn't have tough fights and win. The two Razor Ruddock fights were tough. He was hit with some big shots, and he won both of those fights. He came through it. Even the fights where he lost, like the Buster Douglas fight, it's not like he mentally folded in that fight. It's not like he just got caught with one big shot. No, he took quite a beating in that fight. I went back and watched it ages ago, and Tyson took a lot of shots in that fight, took a lot of hard jabs, took a lot of heavy right hands, and he kept coming. And he tried to get up towards the end of the fight when he got dropped for the final time. So I think the heart comment about Tyson is a little bit unfair. I'm not even saying he has a great heart. I'm not saying he has loads of heart. I'm not saying his heart was tremendous, but I think the no heart comment has always been a little bit unfair. But that's just my opinion as a younger fan looking back from what I've got to see. I wasn't around at the time. I don't know all the stories. I don't know the ins and outs. But the Tyson section of that podcast was very interesting. Also, Teddy Atlas was talking about the psychology of boxing, how he relates boxing to life. He was also talking about some of the charity ventures he's involved in. Even briefly touched on him getting back involved in boxing. He may be working with Alexander Vodzik, so that would be interesting. So yeah, I really suggest you take a listen to this podcast. I know Teddy Atlas, he's not everybody's cup of tea. Some of the things he says I kind of raise an eyebrow and I kind of question, but ultimately you cannot question his passion for the sport. And he's an old school guy. He's entertaining. He is entertaining at the very least. Give it a listen, see what you think. Peace.